The biggest party in video games has come and gone, and now it's up to the gaming public to sort through all the trailers, release info, technical jargon, and new ideas we all got hit with over this year's Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3. With the honeymoon of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One now done and over with, what pieces of shiny did Sony and Microsoft give us? And what about Nintendo? How did they answer all the doom and gloom leading up to E3? We'll go through the highlights, give you our thoughts and opinions on the news, and tell you what we're most looking forward to on our E3 recap, right here on Downloadable Content. Welcome to Downloadable Content. I'm Brian, and with me on this episode we have Ben.
Hi there, everybody.
We have Ron.
Hey, everyone.
We have Kat.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back. You came back.
I did.
And all the way from the British lands, we have Joshie.
Oh, hoy hoy.
Back for his second show this season. That's overexertion, Joshie. Pace yourself.
I know.
You're gonna pull something
I'm
there.
Gonna have to not show up next year.
It's like, my God, you showed up on the Steam Machine episode, and now this. It's
Well, nobody else did.
That's true. It was just you and I.
Brian, are you gonna get taxed for the overuse of Joshie this year?
I may get hit with a luxury tax.
That's unfortunate.
That's
VAT is pretty high here.
I'm sure it is. So, yes, it is our annual E3 episode. We'll go through all the highlights and all the fun stuff that we got hit with over the week that was. But before we get to all of that, let's get all of the plugs out of the way. You can find Downloadable Content on iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher. You can get in contact with us a variety of ways. Facebook.com/DLContent, at Twitter at DLContent, on Tumblr at dlcpodcast.tumblr.com, and if you want to email us, dlcontent1@gmail.com. Ben, I will plug you later.
Brian, maybe we should do that off the air. Oh, yes. You can plug the website later.
Yes.
Wink.
Yes, this is DLC After Dark.
Seriously. Well, where
baby.
Joshie is, it's definitely after dark.
Yeah.
It's only 12:30 in the
It
morning.
might be light by the time we finish.
It might be, but this year's E3 definitely felt worlds different than last year's. Last year's we had the lead up of the PS4 and the Xbox One, and what still remains to me the best E3 moment of all time. How do you share a PS4 game? Much different this time. It wasn't so much about which consoles got the bigger cock, but more so, it was definitely, I felt, having watched the Microsoft, the Sony, and the Nintendo press events, much more games-oriented, and I love when E3 sticks to that as opposed to, here's all the bells and whistles you will never, ever use. Very, very game-centric, which is always a plus. So, I figured we were going to go in the order in which everybody presented, so I figured we'll start with Microsoft. I watched all of these press conferences after they aired because all during E3 I was fighting a head cold and I didn't want to watch them while my head felt like I was in a vice. So I was just watching all of the tweets and posts on Facebook and Twitter during each of the press conferences, and initially, just from what was coming up on Microsoft, was shooty things, race things. Woo.
Hey guys, do you like Halo? We have all the Halos this time.
I mean, on the one hand, we can knock them for that, but we're still waiting on Majora's Mask for the 3DS. So, actually, in all seriousness, I feel like Microsoft had a little bit of quiet pressure on them this year that wasn't really acknowledged. But between the recent acknowledgement that they're gonna the decision to stop bundling the Kinect with the system,
Wasn't
and the
it
fact
pretty awkward when they announced Kinect games? Harmonix must be pretty sad.
oh my god, that's awesome! Look at all these games that nobody's gonna buy because nobody's gonna have the peripheral for it. I mean, at least they acknowledged Phil Spencer or Phil Harrison. I forgot his name. What tall bald guy used to? Yeah, thank. He announced that they pointed out that they realized, well, we have to sell the system before we can sell the sensor, and that's absolutely true, and I definitely think that the price drop will help them, but I think that the problem was really that they weren't selling people on the value of the system at $499, and, you know, even at $399, it might be a little bit of a challenge. So I think nobody was really acknowledging it, but I kind of feel like there was a lot of pressure on them in some ways to perform this year. You know, people were expecting Nintendo to not have a good conference. We'll get to that later. But, you know, in some ways I think there was some heat on Microsoft. So I think that it's not that surprising that all they did was come out and be like, look at us playing to all of our strengths. Party on, bros. We're hip.
Yeah, they announced a new Conker game, so clearly they won E3.
Well, that's all it takes, right?
Yeah.
Giant enemy crabs or Conker. Either one will win you E3.
The funny thing was, you know, and this was happened after E3, all of the... I saw like a bajillion different articles saying why each of the major game console makers won E3. So, yeah.
And the hilarious joke about that is they're comparing how they won presenting a press conference in which the majority of the press conference was third-party games that would be on the other platforms.
Yes.
Well, Brian, I think there's a really good analogy here if we can connect this to sports, and I know not everybody will get this analogy, so I apologize. And it's an American game too, Joshie, so you're really just fucked on this one. But there's a phrase that I heard once. So baseball's off season is during the winter, and you know that's when they sign all the players from other teams and they make big moves. And so at the end of the winter, the writers and people will get together and announce which teams, quote unquote, won the winter. And so they asked a team executive once about it, you know, how do you feel about the fact that you won this winter? And he said, well, to be honest, I'd rather win the season, but I'm glad you guys are excited. So it's cool if you win E3. It's way better if you actually win the hearts and minds of gamers and they buy your shit.
If you actually sell some video games.
Yeah, that might be helpful.
Or consoles for the console makers.
Right, yeah.
Well, yes. So, needless to say, I mean, they did have a pretty long press conference. They were at it an hour and a half. And
that's not long when you get to Sony's press conference.
Oh my god! But some of the
in the middle of Sony, I just wanted to kill myself.
I think my roommate fell asleep during Sony's press conference, and may not have noticed it.
Well, the first game they presented was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and immediately my brain shut off.
It certainly looks like another Call of Duty.
See, I was excited about that. I was looking forward to that, but that might be because of the industry I work in. So
it does have flying grenades.
It does have flying grenades, and throwing grenades is pretty fun. I mean, it's grenades. For some people, just Call of Duty hasn't really lost its luster, and Advanced Warfare looked pretty interesting, but nobody is going to be that coordinated that they were in that trailer. It's just impossible. It's you're just going to have a bunch of people yelling at each other.
Well, you know, that's typically how these games... I mean, from my own personal preference, a lot of the games that were shown in Microsoft's press conference, and even Sony's, I didn't feel any sort of want or must-have. There was a couple of them. They showed a bunch of games. They showed Call of Duty, they showed another Forza game, they showed Assassin's Creed Unity, and then the internet exploded with that, with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed Unity. We'll get to that in a little bit. Dragon Age Inquisition looked very interesting.
I am so excited for that game.
I'm still working on the first Dragon Age, so...
I had a friend who was at E3 and he got to play Dragon Age Inquisition, and based on what he told me, most of the combat system is closer to 1 than it is closer to 2,
Yes.
which is a good thing.
Wasn't 2 universally panned?
It was panned for the combat being too actiony.
I kind of thought I might have heard an audible groan when they showed Fable Legends.
That was not a Fable game.
Because apparently, I've never played any of the Fable games, and...
Neither have I.
The second one was pretty good. The third one was not pretty good.
The first and second Fable games were collectively the best $100 I ever spent on a beta test.
Basically.
I'm sorry, guys, but those games were
no.
not complete. They're
not,
not.
yeah.
Complete.
I really loved that dog, though.
Oh my god, the dog was amazing. You know what else I really loved? All the shit that Peter Molyneux said was going to be in the game that wasn't.
Well,
because that in and of
obviously
itself...
you don't listen to Peter Molyneux
Well, we
because
learned
he's
that the
not
hard
working
way.
on the game.
Well, we learned that the hard way. You know what? Peter Molyneux could probably tell us what's in the next Fable game and be more likely to get it right than he was about the games that he was working on himself. Because like a week before the game came out, he listed all this shit that was supposed to be in the game that wasn't in the game. And then they still let him talk for the second and third game. Don't understand
let him live in his special world. He's a visionary, a dreamer, and one day he might produce a good video game.
With whose help?
Well, God?
The hand of God, apparently. Or the tweet of God.
So I have to quickly move away from Fable Legends to talk about the DLC for Dead Rising 3 that makes me want to get Dead Rising 3. Its name is Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha Dash.
I'm glad
Is it
Capcom...
really?
Yeah, this is Capcom making fun of itself.
That's beautiful.
It's
Yes.
got Tofu, like the most obscure Resident Evil character.
And he was only in a minigame!
Everything about that is perfection.
Yeah, at least Capcom, for all the bad press they've gotten recently, they're at least aware that like they're trying to save some face and at least like laugh at their own stuff.
I'm glad. I mean, this is from a company who, still says, there's no demand for Mega Man. But, the one game that actually jumped out to me the most was Ori.
Oh my god, I cried. I actually cried. In that I sat there at my computer and I was like, thank god I'm alone in this office. I'm just sitting there like sniffling like, no!
That looked so beautiful and something I
So
might
pretty.
actually play.
Do we actually know who's making that game, or is it some obscure indie developer?
I'm
Obscure
going
indie
to
developer.
I'm going to pull it up right now. This is why we have the internet. To look up shit like this. But while I'm looking that up,
I mean, the video for that game was freaking beautiful.
It's so pretty.
obviously after Ori, then we had like I think the 15 or 20 minutes they just threw at Halo.
Master
Yay.
Chief.
So let me get this straight. It's the anniversary edition they already released, but I guess on the Xbox One. They're remaking Halo 2 as exactly like the anniversary edition, and then Halo 3 and 4 are just as they were.
I think that's how it's going, because they're having to be where Halo 2 is like basically at day one of the game being launched, with all the bugs that come with it, and
Right.
they were going to do similar things with 3 and 4.
And you can play all the multiplayer this time rather than
Yeah.
Anniversary, which was the Reach multiplayer.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
they
think
said.
so.
I think they said every single map that they've released across all 4 of those games is going to be accessible on the one disc.
That's going to be pretty interesting, because that's going to be the first time Combat Evolved has technically been available online.
I would guess, yeah, because
except
for LAN parties and
solutions.
shit like that, yeah.
Ori and the Blind Forest is made by Moon Studios.
Who the fuck are they?
As we already just said, a small indie developer.
Okay, so...
Do they have any notable names?
Dum-de-dum.
I'm gonna guess they haven't made anything in the past.
Studios. They're based out of Staten Island. I know that.
I know where that is.
Yes!
I've been to there.
Moon Studios is Staten Island. Moon Studio. This must be one of their first games. They don't even have a Wikipedia page.
Okay, so then they're probably like brand new, similar to Supergiant then.
Cool. Well, their first game looks pretty great.
It reminded me a bit like it looked a bit Metroid-y, a bit Castlevania-y, but it definitely it's a platformer. It looks and smells like a platformer, but beautiful.
Brian, how does a platformer smell? I'm just curious.
Like technology.
Like sweat and frustration from Mario Party.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
so the other thing this Halo collection comes with is a beta/demo for Halo 5, which will be released in 20
That was just what, a multiplayer beta, not
yeah,
a single player.
They'll never release.
They're not going to release a single player beta. Well, first of all, they don't need a demo at this point because.
Well, a beta is a demo. Let's be honest.
I mean, no, but they don't need one for single player.
I laughed hysterically when they announced a Destiny alpha. I assure you, from someone who works in development, that is not an alpha. I mean, alphas are unplayable.
Yeah, they say alpha, they probably mean the first hour of the game.
Yeah, this is the first hour of the game that we spent 3 years working on, and it's basically finished.
Well, as opposed to Peter Molyneux's finished game, which is a beta.
Oh, sick man.
That's gonna be the running joke. It's an early access that will never be finished. They also showed some footage for another Tomb Raider game called Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Terrible name.
Does anybody else?
Really excited for it.
Does anybody else notice that they have two concurrently running Tomb Raider franchises at the moment?
Yeah, they made a sequel to that top-down one. I can't remember its name.
Guardian of Light?
Yes.
I didn't know it was top-down, but yeah, they're doing a sequel to Guardian of Light and a sequel to...
It's like isometric or something. It's it's a puzzle game, basically.
Oh, well, okay, then that makes a little more sense, because otherwise it would be like if Capcom had Ninja Theory's Devil May Cry and their own Devil May Cry series simultaneously going on.
They're not competing products, they're just both based in the Tomb Raider universe.
Gotcha.
Apparently that first game was really good. I've not played it, but it was highly acclaimed.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I've heard really good things.
They showed some footage for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which I could have sworn was...
Skyrim?
That's actually a pretty good analogy.
I mean, literally, they've made Skyrim. I mean, it looked awesome, but...
Yeah, it looked like Skyrim with updated graphics, basically.
Has anyone here actually got into the Witcher series? I've heard a lot about it. But...
Nope.
No, I've not played it. I've heard people like to. They really like to. One was kind of meh, was my understanding. They're hoping 3 is basically going to be like how Oblivion was for that kind of series.
Yeah, I think the first one was like a cult hit, and 2 gained some more traction. So I guess 3 is supposed to be like their crazy coming out party.
Let's see, what else? We had a game called Phantom Dust, which I think
That's a remake.
It's a remake.
Some crazy card battle game that I've never heard of before. But some people went insane for this announcement.
Tom Clancy's The Division. and then we had Scalebound and Crackdown.
Did they mispronounce Tom Clancy's name again this year? Because somebody mispronounced it last year.
I don't remember that, actually.
Yeah. Somebody called him... I don't know if it was last year, but it was a couple of years ago. Somebody called him Tom Clancy.
Ouch.
So is The Division just another Rainbow Six game or something? I still can't really understand what's different about
alternate universe, post-apocalyptic bullcrap.
Right.
When I saw it, it kind of looked like every other Tom Clancy game I've ever seen stills for. So, you know, I got the sense. Just from watching the Microsoft. I mean, again, there were really, for my own personal preference, for the types of games that I play, not much jumped out. I mean, obviously, they showed a lot of stuff, so obviously they're trying to cast as wide a net as possible, but nothing that told me, nothing that said, get an Xbox One.
Well, more concerning than they didn't announce anything that wowed you. Like, the big, like, supposedly surprise, I don't know if people knew it was coming, was, like, their biggest announcement was there's a new Crackdown, and they showed a CG trailer, and it's coming in 2015, which means Microsoft's headline for this Christmas is a Halo collection. Is that really going to convince people to buy Xbox Ones?
No, like
it might.
Actually, it might.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it might because it's 2, and 2 was like, I mean, Halo 1 was good, like it was fine. Don't get me wrong, but 2 was really the one that kind of made everyone lose their minds.
Because
I guess to rephrase it another way, with a Halo collection, you're gonna get the Halo fans that were gonna probably buy an Xbox One at some point. You're not going to convince the people who are considering a PlayStation 4 and thus, I guess, aren't big enough Halo fans to know Halo is coming.
Yeah, I agree. It's like if Nintendo was releasing more Mario games, expecting
It's
it
like,
to
no
attract
shit,
people from
Nintendo's going
Sony.
to announce a Mario game.
Right, you're disappointed if it doesn't happen, but there's no special cause for celebration if it does happen.
Crackdown is the kind of game I could see people going, oh shit, I got to get an Xbox One. But it's
like,
not coming this Christmas.
Yeah, memory serves me correct. The first Crackdown wasn't even that well received in the first place, was it?
It was fairly
Crackdown?
popular in the
Yeah,
end. A lot of people bought it because there was a Halo beta in the box, and then realized Crackdown was a pretty good game.
They did make a sequel, though.
Crackdown 2, not a good game.
Oh, well, I didn't know, but I knew they had made a sequel. I didn't know that there was any justification.
This is a different developer as well, so hopefully this one will be decent. But yeah,
to be fair,
not a lot stunning from Microsoft.
Yeah, to be fair, I should have probably realized that the fact that there was only a sequel and not multiple sequels should have indicated that the sequel was not a good sequel.
I mean, Tom Clancy, The Witcher, these are Assassin's Creed, these are all Call of Duty, these are all multi-platform games. So what have they got? They've got Forza, they've got Fable, Project Spark, Ori,
Halo,
and Crackdown at some point.
They showed a few. They devoted, I think, about 2 minutes or so to indie games to throw them a little bit of a bone. It was just interesting because most of the games, or at least some of the games that they showed in their little 2-minute montage, are already on Steam.
Yeah, that's the case with most indie games, though, isn't it?
That is true. I mean, they showed a few seconds of the upcoming Not Mega Man.
Oh, Mighty Number 9.
Yes, Mighty Number 9. They showed Night Squad, which is already on Steam.
They're going to have Freeze, that mobile game.
Yes, they added threes.
Which
I feel like they should have been...
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Freeze, they really need to make it work in that snap view so you can play it while playing something else.
I feel like, by the way, that people should have been way more excited if they'd announced threes for Windows Mobile than for Xbox, because it is not on Windows Mobile.
That's because no one owns one of those.
Yeah, no. Well, that's funny as you say that, because nobody owns an Xbox, so...
Yeah.
Now with more existential angst.
Yeah. Okay. Well, shall we move on from Microsoft? I mean, they just
any more dead horse beatings that need to happen here, guys? Last chance.
Like,
I've got a club.
zero mention of the K word. Absolute zero.
Again, they realized they couldn't sell it, so they stopped trying to sell it.
Well, they didn't really mention the name, but they did announce a Dance Central game.
They announced two. They announced Disney Fantasia Music Evolved.
That was actually announced last year.
Yeah.
That's been delayed for a very long time.
Well, apparently it's
because nobody's buying a Kinect.
Apparently it's going to keep getting delayed. And Dance Central Spotlight.
Which, as far as I'm aware, is like a bare bones game with no single player. That's basically a shell to sell you songs. I mean, it makes sense, but they should have probably had a Dance Central game at launch.
So, Kat, you were gobbling up all of this E3 coverage. What was your overall take on Microsoft?
I liked what they had to offer. I mean, it's just a lot of people are like, oh, Halo. Oh, shooters. I understand that that's a lot of the same thing, but on the other hand, it's like if you know something is going to sell, I would make it.
Also, they excluded the best Halo game, which is obviously ODST and Reach.
Yeah. There were a lot of, like, if they're going to do the Super Halo, they should probably at some point consider DLCing the other ones, at least so people can have the entire set all in one place.
But this would just allow them to re-release it again.
Or something.
Yeah. My understanding was that like Reach was actually not that bad.
Reach
yeah, I know
amazing.
Brian hates shiny coat of paint games, but might as well give people something just so they have, like, entire Halo collection, Super Plus Extreme Ultra. Yay!
My feeling is more like, I don't understand why, and granted, I may not be their target audience, but I don't understand why they expect us to get excited about, like, yeah, when some games get re-released, of course, we go ape for them. How many times has Ocarina of Time been re-released? And how many times have people bought Ocarina of Time? But it's like, yeah, exactly, but at least, like, I don't know, I guess Nintendo actually went through and made some gameplay changes on the most recent one, and it's also not the only thing they tout. Like, so it's a little hard for me to say, like, I understand why people are getting excited about the exact same thing over and over again, when they're not even trying anything new. Like, at least if they were also adding different things to it. I mean, again, I know everybody does it, but, like, I guess I can sort of see why the reception was a little more lukewarm there.
I think it's just massively obvious, in my opinion, that Halo 5 was supposed to come out this year, and this is a stopgap because they've got nothing else to sell.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else they're selling, but if they're trying to stall time, I'd be like, and did I mention Halo?
They could have just come out. I mean, and they also, like, sort of, everybody remembers last year's E3 and their pre-E3 event. Like, they called out to that. They specifically said, cool, guys, we are only talking games today. And that's wonderful that they did, but the fact that they had to shows that they knew they had a PR problem. So, yeah, I think not being able to follow that up by being like, so let's start off with, oh look, it's Halo 5 that you can all play tomorrow and will be available for everybody else at the end of the year. I think, yeah, they did need something, so they probably wanted to remind people that this is still a thing that's happening without shoving it down everybody's throats that, by the way, you're not quite getting it as early as we told you were going to get it. Sorry!
But don't worry, you can play Fable Legends this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I was worried about that.
Yeah, see, there is that, yes. So, let us move along to Sony.
But before we get to Sony, can we just comment very shortly on the EA press conference? Okay, we've discussed the EA press conference.
No. EA press conference of, let's just show people making the games instead of the games, or, talk about the games.
Does anyone have a video game finished yet? Guys? Anyone?
Bueller?
It was incredible.
Hey, we
it just
Star Wars,
kept
right?
going.
Cool. Alright, we own Star Wars, right? Cool, let's show them Star Wars. Oh, it's not ready. Hey, we own Criterion, right? Criterion's done nothing since Burnout Paradise. Let's show them that this game isn't done. Let's,
Surely BioWare's got something for us. I mean, they've got Dragon Age Inquisition, and they've got...
What about Mass Effect? That's still a... Oh.
You gave us literal concept shots of an alpha. And they were literally stages that looked like they were ripped out of Mass Effect 3. What the hell, guys? What the hell?
Good. I'm glad I didn't watch the EA press conference then, because I kind of figured that was going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm
so
excited
sad.
that they showed us like the level of research that their DICE team is doing for Star Wars Battlefront, and the Criterion demo looked cool, but this was all proof of concept and concept art and just other stuff, and I'm like, all right, give me something real, or just announce that your entire press conference is a trailer instead of a movie.
I think
Speaking of trailers, I was pretty hyped to see that they had the Dragon Age Inquisition trailer with the female lead and the male lead. That was cool, and their tweet was actually awesome about it.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna have to launch into what Ubisoft did wrong, but we'll get to that later. Did anybody else notice, by the way, that like I think Nintendo, somebody did a count, they said there were more severed heads on spikes than there were female presenters at E3, and that's not a
Sounds
good
about
thing.
right.
Yeah, that's about right.
I feel like Nintendo's been doing a lot with female protagonists.
There was a
Just to get
count
to that.
about how many female protagonists and female presenters and female things Nintendo did compared to everybody else, and it was a pretty staggering
It's a
difference.
pretty large. It's like double digits at least.
Yeah, there
I know-
were at least. Yeah,
I know
it
we're
was
gonna
a
talk-
transparency.
We can
I know
get
we're
into
gonna-
this argument at any time, but I just want to point out it's highly ironic that the company that had a woman as a lead presenter was Ubisoft.
Yeah, and then they got into there was some fun stuff, but
And then they blew it.
Afterwards. Yeah.
We will get to that, because I'm
Yep.
sure we have some words. More
So
than-
many words, none of them good.
Well,
not many good. But yeah, anyway, any
Good,
more
yeah.
about EA's non-pre-rendered press conference?
It could have been so much more.
Mass
The
Effect-
smoke,
sorry.
the smoke at the end was incredible.
Yeah.
The Mirror's Edge 2. That's probably the only good thing they actually I
Mirror's
saw.
Edge 2 isn't a thing. They showed video from the first game.
That's true. That's basically what they did. But it still is nice that they actually are admitting, like, hey, we are working on this thing.
It's nice
But
that they didn't
said
cancel
that
it.
2
Yes,
years ago.
last year.
This is
But yeah,
gaming.
it's
They
nice
can
that they
wait
didn't
forever.
cancel it.
I just don't understand why they're even making that game. I mean, it wasn't a big seller. It wasn't that popular. What crazy business logic actually told them they should continue making that franchise?
Cult following, basically?
But cult following doesn't make you money.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know, Joshie. It goes completely against their business model of pump out the safest thing possible.
I
So-
have to imagine that it's relatively easy to make the game, too, considering it's mostly, like, monochromatic with occasional blur and contrast.
I'd completely disagree with that on two grounds. One, if that were true, they would have put it out already. And two, the color scheme isn't probably the issue. The level design and
Yeah.
figuring out how to platform when you can't see your feet are probably much larger issues.
Yeah, I think that's probably I think 2 is the main reason why they're taking so long, is because I imagine that they want to have it be a much larger game than how Mirror's Edge 1 was, where it's basically just like 8 to 10 hours of.
And hopefully they might remove the shooting.
No, they've kind of already shown that that's.
They've already shown that there's going to be shooting.
But the good news is maybe it'll be an open world game, guys. Come on, nobody's done that yet.
Whatever. Okay. But before we move on, can we just mention Battlefield Hardline, the only game they actually had to demonstrate, and the fact that it looks like a mod for Battlefield 4?
It's
I
Cops and
played it.
Robbers,
I
the video
actually
game.
liked it a lot. I'm in the beta and I'm liking it because Cops and Robbers, and it's actually pretty fun if you would just ignore the chat like everything else in the world.
that's
That
right.
was the
That's
Robbers
right.
commercial.
You did score a beta of that. I forgot
I
about
did. I did.
'Cause you're
Mainly because I
magic
sat
like
there.
that.
No, I was obsessively refreshing that website, like, must get into Cops and Robbers shooting game. Like, I played Cops and Robbers so much as a kid, and I'm like, you want me to play this as an adult with even less coordination? Let's do it!
I don't see what could possibly go wrong.
Yep, this can't end badly at
Like-
all.
Okay, like the fact that like basically the fact that they did that is actually pretty cool. Like, here's the beta. We're launching it literally right now.
Just
Please.
go play it.
Yeah, go play.
Although
Like,
that thing where they were playing it on some rooftop in LA.
In LA,
a
that
bit
was not
awkward.
good. That was those poor people. They were all in black, and I tweeted
Yeah.
about that. I was like, "Why are you doing this, EA? Please stop! It's so hot. We're gonna get heat stroke for Battlefield." That should have been a hashtag.
You have gamers in black shirts and probably
On a
brown or black
rooftop
pants.
in
Yeah.
Angeles. Ooh,
On a
wow.
rooftop in LA with like little to no like
whatever,
over.
no cover, nothing. Who thought that was a good idea? Like, what PR guy said, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have them on a roof. Rooftops are cool. Let's just get a bunch of computers that spew out tons of heat. What's their uniform like? Is it all black? Let's do that. Black is in. Let's make that a thing. All right, go. What's the temperature today? 105? Yeah. All right, sounds good.
Can I just point out that I think that conversation was literally 3 times as much actual thought and planning went into that event, because you actually had thoughts on these things, and I'm pretty sure they just
EA
kinda did
just
them
said,
instead.
roofs are cool.
Yeah. Sticking with a helipad. What could possibly go wrong?
We'll have helicopters flying overhead. That's not loud and obnoxious, and there's not backdrafted getting sand in people's eyes. That's cool.
Can I backtrack for just a second back to Microsoft? Microsoft announced that the Xbox One is off to the hottest start in Xbox history. Considering that the original Xbox One, had 1/4 of profitability in its entire 4-year existence, and that entire profitability margin was driven by Halo 2, I don't really know that that's saying much. But anyway.
The 360 also had a year head start in which it had no competition, so I doubt it was.
And still ended up
rocketing
being
off shelves.
outsold substantially because people were waiting for the PlayStation 3 and Blu-ray. And the Wii. But that's a different story. Alright, so
PlayStation.
any more on EA, or is it time for Sony?
I think it's time for Sony. I think we've beaten Microsoft and EA to a pulp at this point.
Well, I'm gonna go take a nap, so you guys let me know when you're done talking. Oh wait, no, we're not watching the actual press conference. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
Sorry, my mistake.
The press conference for Sony was almost 2 hours, and I'm just like, wow.
So
By the way-
I want to just jump to the most important thing. Vib ribbon. What the fuck?
Can I just point out that for the second year in a row, the sound dropped during the middle of their press conference? For a company that made its name on audio equipment, please tell me they're embarrassed.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad.
More importantly, they teased Vib Ribbon twice, and they didn't announce a Vib Ribbon game. Fuck you, Sony.
So Vib Ribbon actually never came out in the US, Josh.
I heard that, but
Yeah,
you guys missed out. Vib Ribbon was an incredible game.
I'm looking at this right now, and we missed out is a little bit of an understatement just based on this art. What
So
the hell?
the thing you're missing is the way the game worked, which is you loaded up the game, it was loaded entirely into the PlayStation's memory. You took the disc out, you put music CDs into your PS1, and then the levels started to be generated based on the music.
There's a Steam game that does that.
Audio Wave?
Yes. Was that what it's called? Audio Surf?
Audio Surf, Audio Wave, something like that.
Audio Surf. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, a harmonics joint.
Yeah. Wow. What a surprise. Harmonix did a music-based game. I'm surprised by that. I don't know about you, but I am really surprised that Harmonix decided to make an audio-based game there. That seems weird.
I know, isn't it just?
No, it wasn't made by Harmonix. Audio Surf was Invisible Handlebar.
Oh, okay.
I like
Never
it,
mind.
just like, no.
Oh, well, yeah, it's fine.
Moving on. Moving on. Sony.
So Destiny looks cool, right?
Yeah, greatest alpha ever.
Yeah. The thing, from what I've seen of Destiny, the only thing I think of is Borderlands did it 4 years ago.
The thing I liked hearing about Destiny was a lot of people just can't comprehend what Destiny is because they're really bad at explaining what Destiny is. And then suddenly all the journalists, when they got this alpha, they realized why Bungie isn't explaining what Destiny is. because it's a fucking MMO. And they're not telling people that because they don't want to use the word MMO.
Yeah, it's an MMO first-person shooter with light RPG elements, aka MMO Borderlands.
And well,
which might be cool, I guess.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not terribly unhappy with that prospect, but it does significantly dampen my expectations for the game and my excitement.
Yeah, like it does. Same for me. Like, I was expecting it to be like a little more open world and like I could do whatever the hell I wanted. And like if I wanted to like fly a fighter jet and just shoot people out of the sky, that's cool. If I wanted to land on the ground and shoot people in the face that way, that's cool too. Now that I've seen more, I'm like my excitement level for the game went down significantly. Like my hype for the game was probably like an 8 before this E3, and now it's at like a 2.
I don't think that was their goal. Just guess.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Well, guys, are you supposed to build hype or lose hype? I don't really remember. I don't have a marketing degree, but I'm really just quite curious.
And you know, I was a little disappointed because, I mean, I know that, Destiny is being made by Bungie, and, I missed the Halo train. I totally played Halo 1 10 years after it came out, and so I missed the boat on, the awesomeness and the hype that, everyone else got when they played it, because by the time I played Halo, I played games that took that formula and did it much better. So I was looking forward to, jumping on the Destiny train, and then I was like, oh, it's an MMO.
Womp womp.
Well, that kills that.
So The Order, 1886?
I am looking forward to that game, actually, a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them not delaying the game.
Yeah, as long as they don't delay it, I'll be happy. But the way things stand and the way it looks, if that's how the actual game's going to be in terms of looks, that's fantastic. With the quote unquote seamless CG to action transition.
See, that makes me really excited, but also really concerned.
Yeah, I am like,
most of the game isn't going to be playable.
Yeah, that's my concern too. Is this going to be just like quick time the event the game?
Because huge parts of the demo they showed was just unplayable video.
Yeah, it was this literal unplayable video with occasional
and then
quick
I
time.
press triangle to drink.
Yeah, oh my god.
Let's not forget that there were other games that have had decent portions of QuickTime events that were really popular and successful. Again, Resident Evil 4 comes to mind. I mean, it wasn't huge sections, but I mean, they were certainly sprinkled in. God of War had constant QuickTime events, some of which were opening a chest because you had to spam a button to do that, so that was annoying. But I mean, it can be done as long as it's not an excess of the focus. But that's the trade-off in some cases. If you want to have the visual fidelity that they were going for, then they need to control as much of the experience as possible, and that's kind of where QuickTime events sometimes come in. So yeah, that's sort of. I just made myself sad.
Aww.
Sad Ben is sad.
I was looking forward to that game. I am now less so.
Little Big Planet 3 will make you less sad.
I will admit that was a very cute little.
It is.
Is adorableness is off.
I just want a plush toggle. I don't want the game. I just want him.
The bird's OP. Bird needs to get nerfed.
Oh yeah, the bird. The whole game can just be played by you being dragged around by the bird.
Yeah.
The game that Sony threw out there that caught my attention immediately, Mortal Kombat 10.
Which was announced a week before.
It was, but I started hearing about it in detail here.
Fun fact: it's called Mortal Kombat X.
10.
Its official name is X.
10.
X.
Yeah, the actual name is X, but we know it's 10.
It's 10.
So wait a minute.
It's the 10th Mortal Kombat game. It just happens to be called Mortal Kombat X.
To be fair, that is why Nintendo called Mario Kart 7, because they said specifically that it was the 7th Mario Kart game for home consoles.
And now that it's the 8th one because it's the 8th one.
Because it's the 8th. Yeah, well, listen,
Ooh.
as long as we can understand their naming conventions, I think that means that we've cracked their code.
I think
We've cracked their language.
And, because it's Mortal Kombat, that means it's going to have its usual over-the-top...
It was so gruesome. Like, extremely gruesome.
That's how Mortal Kombat has made its name!
Do you notice that's a sarcasm in his British voice?
I mean...
Nope.
Yeah, I know, Kat. I was watching your Twitter feed. You're like, nope. You just noped-a-pussed right out of the room. It was just...
I mean, he made it such a big... Like, he'd been teasing that for a month, and not even subtly. And then it was like, oh, there's a Mortal Kombat trailer. I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner tonight.
That's a lot of marinara.
Oh, God. I mean, like, I'm sorry. I could not care less at this point. I really just couldn't.
Yeah, that's Mortal Kombat's bread and butter, though. It's always been over the top, and I've been playing Mortal Kombat since I was 9, so it's anytime a new Mortal Kombat game comes out, I'm like, okay, you have my attention.
Well, I mean, like, to be completely honest, the fact that the remake redo, whatever, did so well is good for them.
Yes.
And the fact that they're making a second one is to be expected. And then it's just like, let's hope it's as good as the first one. That's all we can really ask of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fighting game, so, I mean, you can only do so much with a fighting game. But, I mean, the most recent Mortal Kombat game, they went back to, the 2D setup and, back to the, simplistic. It's just, fighting and fatalities. You don't have all that stupid nonsense with 3D and weapons and friendships and babalities and all that, silliness that wormed its way through over the years. It's like just a straight fighting game. Good, excellent, wonderful. Other highlights from their press conference, the web kind of lit up with Grim Fandango, which is this is another remake, I believe.
Remake/port of a game that was made and released in 1998, 1999, somewhere around there.
Sounds accurate.
And another franchise, called Bloodborne.
Also known as Steampunk Dark Souls.
Steampunk what?
Steampunk Dark Souls.
Yes.
Are any of you into Dark Souls?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's punishment. It's penance, is what it is.
Yeah, you're playing a game that you're gonna die. You're gonna die a lot in, but like the idea behind it is, like generally speaking, it's your fault for dying and not the game's fault.
Yeah, this isn't.
So
it's not like Ninja Gaiden.
Right. My understanding is the main guy who's making this game wasn't involved with Dark Souls 2.
Correct.
Do you like that game
just
as much?
2 has its own set of issues, but I think overall 2 is a little bit better than 1. Not by much, but I think if they take some of the things that 2 did and incorporated it into Bloodborne, then I think Bloodborne will be probably one of the best games of it will be an early frontrunner for one of the best games of this generation.
There was, of course, because it's the Sony press conference. That means we have to mention Metal Gear Solid, because it seems like Kojima is a staple at these damn things.
And the 7-minute trailer of us trying to figure out what kind of psychosis he has to this time.
So just to be clear, Snake has shrapnel in his head, right?
Yeah, I noticed that. There seems to be like a devil's horn or something going on there. But they also very quietly seem to have announced the release date a little bit, and nobody seems to have noticed.
Really?
So what they did was they put out these posters, which look really cool, detailing like the visual history of the series. So they showed all the different Metal Gears. They showed Snake's progression from like blob of pixels to what you see today. And then they even announced the titles. And so they had, all the recent titles: Ground Zeroes 2014, The Phantom Pain 2014. And nobody seems to have noticed that it's plain as day on the poster, not like question marks.
Bullshit. That game is not
no.
coming out this year.
Absolutely, it's not. But I'm just wondering why they.
There is no logical reason.
Chance that game comes out in 2014.
There is no reason they would have released the shit stick that was Ground Zeroes if they had an actual game to release.
30 minutes. You pay 30 minutes for chapter 1 of a video game.
I mean, I liked it, but it was definitely too short.
So they wouldn't have released that if they had an actual game this year.
Well, they were talking at one point about not releasing them separately. But the other thing is that the other part of it is I liked how in the trailer they said the game was coming out in 1984, which technically means it's the longest game in development ever. If it was scheduled to be out in 1984, it's currently easily besting Duke Nukem's Forever's record at this point.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, I know you already know that they're going to when this basically second half of Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out, they're going to release the 2 games or put them in. They're going to put them together. So that's,
which is why I haven't purchased Ground Zeroes.
I mean, what's going to happen is Ground Zeroes is going to be chapter 1. If they see that you've already played it, then you're just going to be able to skip that. I mean, I'm guessing what they're going to end up doing.
I thought they had said that like Ground Zeroes was like they're going to reduce the price of Ground Zeroes like $20, and then Phantom Pain will be the remaining 40, and then if you just want to buy both, it's just going to be the normal 60.
Okay, so then there you go. So people who already bought Ground Zero should be able to.
Let's
just
be honest.
Phantom Pain
You'll be able to buy Ground Zeroes for nothing by the time the game comes out.
Yeah, this is completely true.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what other I did. I zoned out during the Sony press conference.
Far Cry 4.
Far Cry 4, a bit more of
the not abseiling, the flying thing he does off the side of the cliff.
the sky gliding thingy.
Yes, that looks awesome.
Elephant is OP. Nerf elephant.
Yep.
Did they put out? I thought they put out some DLC for Infamous Second Son. Was that?
Yes. It's a female protagonist.
Thing, yeah.
Go on, Kat.
I'll take female protagonists wherever I can get them. So it's cool. I know nothing about the game.
I've never played Infamous.
No, my understanding is it's basically going to be like while all the stuff with Infamous Second Son's character is happening, she's going to be going around doing her own shtick.
I don't see how that can be that enjoyable when the whole deal of Infamous Second Son was you've got a character that can absorb all the other powers, and now you're going to have a character with one power.
But the fact that they made this power apparently being like literally controlling light, that might be a little bit cool.
Okay.
Josh is like, alright. Entwined Counter Spy. I think there was a Grand Theft Auto 5 HD remake in there.
Yes, there was.
That's coming to all the platforms.
Yeah. Then you had 30 minutes of political, like, boardroom blurg.
Oh my god.
Like, they were doing pretty good. Like, sure, they were slowing down a little bit, but, like, you figured that they were actually just going to, like, wind up the conference then and there. And
they had so much momentum, and then it was like, hey guys, PlayStation's doing pretty good. Why don't we promote all the unsuccessful parts of Sony in the middle of this press conference? Yeah,
like, I mean, like, they just, like, if you want to shoot yourselves in the foot, you have, like, that conference go, and then have 30 minutes of boardroom talking stapled in somewhere in the middle.
But don't worry, then they showed No Man's Sky, and it was all fine.
Basically.
No Man's Sky is the only game I care about now.
Oh my god, that game! Like,
if it isn't amazing, I may as well just quit.
It's
for a brief second. For a brief second, I thought that was Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, no, I mean, but it just that game is just so unbelievably ambitious. Like, there are so many potential pitfalls, but at the same time,
it's made by 4 people.
That's one of the
they had the main developer on there and be like, hi, I'm the main developer, please don't kill our game. Let us develop the game, please.
Also, no load times? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I simply don't understand how this game is possible.
They clearly. Yeah, thank you. Josh, you're a programmer, and I know enough about code to know that like they're doing things that shouldn't be possible. Like we've all played enough games. We accept load times because we've all concluded that yes, they are necessary. If they aren't, what is this wizardry? And patent it and sell it to everybody right
you
now.
will make literal infinite money if you do that.
So I was watching an interview with one of the No Man's Sky guys, and there was this great story I have to tell you guys. So the game is procedurally generated. It's that the AI, the computer, is creating like thousands and thousands of planet variations. So obviously somehow they have to test that like these variations are good, and like you could test manually, but then you could go to 3 planets and see the same blue sky and think, oh god, we've totally fucked up. All the planets have blue sky. So they made more AI to go visit all the planets and create animated GIFs of all the planets, so they could view like thousands of planets at the same time.
What?
This is a true thing. They made robots to monitor what their robots were creating with animated GIFs.
Oh my god! What has science wrought?
I love science.
Just wow. I mean, like when you have 4 people and you guys are that skilled, sure, whatever. But jeez, that's a lot. Wow.
Thank you, Ben. Alrighty. Now that we've run through, I'll give you my final thoughts on Sony. I think Sony did a little bit more in terms of the games that were showing up to make me lean more, toward wanting a PS4. But I still wasn't overly impressed because a lot of it, again, seemed like franchise spam. And while there's a couple more games that Sony showed that I'm looking forward to than Microsoft, I still got the sense of,
Neither of them convince you should buy either of their consoles, which is really bizarre.
Well, I think Sony's selling shtick is still the fact that we were the cheapest console, save for Wii U at the start. So we're gonna stick with that and just work on our infrastructure, which I think I'm okay with, considering what happened to them previously. But I don't know.
Is anyone sad that there was no Last Guardian?
Pretty much the entire internet was sad there was no Last Guardian.
Is that game still a thing?
Yeah, from what people have been hearing from the rumor mill. Yeah. Basically, the game is not in development anymore. It is now most likely canceled.
Well, Kat, what about you? Any last thoughts on the Sony press conference?
No, I like I said, I tuned out about halfway through, like everybody else. I was just like, So, nah, I got nothing.
You got nothing? Alright, so we're gonna close the first half here. And on our second half, we will talk about Nintendo, who seemed to definitely convince more than a few people that 2015 might be the year to get a Wii U, and we'll also bring up the Ubisoft shooting themselves in the foot moment. Not to mention, we'll give you our final thoughts, what we're most looking forward to, and basically giving you our overall thought on E3 as a whole this year. That's going to be in our second half, so in the meantime, you'll have some music, the usual stuff. So, you are listening to our E3 recap of downloadable content. We'll be back. Welcome back to Downloadable Content as we continue our E3 recap. I think we lambasted Microsoft and Sony and EA in the last half. Let's continue this MST3K style commentary as we shift into Nintendo.
We're not doing Ubisoft?
We'll save that juicy bit at the end.
Fair enough. I just thought we were doing in order. Wasn't Ubisoft next?
Technically, Ubisoft was before Sony.
Oh.
Okay.
We're really far off then.
That's all right.
Well, fuck it. We'll come back later.
We'll come back later. We've got plenty of other lines. So, Nintendo, once again, decided to not go the traditional stage press conference like its counterparts, opting to do a digital event. It wasn't quite a Nintendo Direct. It was just this 45-minute long blurb with claymation, and
I really wish all of them would do this. It's just so much more time efficient.
I agree, actually. I really agree.
Yeah, it really... Last year people were sort of like, oh, they're reeling back because they don't really have anything. And maybe they didn't, but this year it definitely was like, hey, so instead of grandstanding and talking about sales numbers and other things you don't care about, how about we just talk about games for 45 minutes? And, oh wait, let's make some silly videos to go with it. I think it made a lot more sense, and I do kind of hope the others look at it as maybe this is something we should ape from them.
It must be so much cheaper as well. I mean, it's quite expensive to put on a press conference.
So, I mean, obviously Nintendo opened up right out of the gate with Smash Brothers because that has been the game du jour on everyone's mind.
But it's also the only game that's going to come out this year, right?
Yeah, thereabouts.
We've got Hyrule Warriors and actually Yoshi.
Bayonetta this year?
Bayonetta might be.
Let's find out.
Tell us, Lord Google. What is Bayonetta 2 coming
Yes, it's
out?
September.
Okay, there you go. With free Bayonetta 1 and Nintendo costumes.
That package, giving away the first game for people who haven't played it, I think is genius. I think that's a fantastic deal.
I agree, because I was getting ready to buy the first Bayonetta for the 360.
Yeah, I was going to say, since it never came out on a Nintendo console before, it really does make an awful lot more sense, because then, I don't think it came out on a Nintendo console.
No.
Nope.
No, it did not.
So there you go. So then it makes more sense, because the Nintendo faithful never would have had a chance to play it.
So, what was your take on the little amiibo figures that they're going to be adding for Smash?
I don't know if you guys know this, but Disney Infinity and Skylanders make Disney and... Is it Activision that does it? Or some other... Yeah, Activision. It makes them literal boatloads of money. And that's just with, like, 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds. Now imagine you have, like, 25-year-old neckbeards doing this stuff.
Well, why not? They already do it with My Little Pony.
Yes, but now I have My Little Pony as well as amiibos.
I think the implementation of making it work with multiple games is really clever. I have no interest in their implementation for Smash Bros.
Yeah, more than likely, the only reason you're going to be buying these figures is because you're going to want to have a little figure of the character itself.
I also suspect that most of us who end up playing Smash Brothers on the Wii U are going to do what we've always done and buy the GameCube attachment. Controller attachment.
Yeah.
I was glad Nintendo did that. I'm like, oh, good, you're not stupid, and you're not going to force everyone to play.
So happy.
You're not going to force everyone to play on the Wii U with the tablet and Wiimotes.
Yeah.
I actually think the Pro Controller will be a pretty decent controller for that game, but
The Pro Controller's going to be great for it.
It's actually a really cool thing for Nintendo to do for their faithful fans who obviously all the pro people obviously love GameCube controllers. But even for me, who I couldn't care between a GameCube and a Pro Controller, but it just means I can buy this one $20 thing and have 4 players, whereas I would have to buy like 3 Pro Controllers.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that, like, I think Nintendo realized that the Wii remote's fine, but having a lot of them is kind of awkward, and that's a lot of batteries to keep track of and things like that. And
The Wii remote also isn't a good controller.
yeah, it's not. Whereas the GameCube controller is an actual controller, and memory serves is probably like the second best or third best controller ever made.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Well, it's better than anything Xbox done.
The 360 controller is pretty good. Except for the D-pad.
Pretty good. I mean, I still am a big fan of the GameCube. If they'd added Rumble to the Wavebird, I really think that would have destroyed the GameCube, the 360 controller. But I mean, honestly, guys, my plan is to wait until they release, because you know they're going to do this. There's going to be a bundle that is the
Wii U Super Smash Brothers.
The game Smash Brothers, and the adapter and a GameCube controller. Which,
Probably
by the way,
350.
Sweet logo that they have on the GameCube controller with Smash Brothers on there. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. If they'd added Rumble to it, I definitely would have been excited, and I like the logo that they had on there. But I think the problem with the Nintendo press conference is definitely 2015, in that everything is not coming out until 2015.
Yeah.
Which for me is okay, because that's probably probably when I'll be able to afford one. So that's all right, and I still have plenty of other games to play. But Smash Brothers definitely. The 3DS one got delayed, if I remember correctly, to October.
It's been pushed back. It was supposed to be earlier, although they never announced a date. I'm pretty sure they said it was like summer.
Yeah, they did say summer, which was only like a month or so ago, so I don't get why they...
Which may actually please some people, because I think some people were pissed off that there was such a gap that they would like have to buy the 3DS one when they probably only wanted the Wii one.
Like, I mean, like, eventually I'll get a Wii U, so I'll get Super Smash Bros. For that eventually. But at the moment, all I have is the 3DS, and I'm happy that I'll be able to play Smash Bros. On my 3DS.
I'm going to be the sucker that buys both.
Yeah, I'll be the sucker that buys both too eventually.
There's a lot of people who buy both.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if I end up with both.
Although, knowing the success of the 3DS compared to the Wii U at the moment, the 3DS one is probably going to sell better.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nintendo has to hope that lots of people buy both.
So definitely looking forward to that. Let's see, we had Yoshi's Woolly World.
I have so much hype for this game, as long as it is not
excited.
I just really hope it's not boring like Epic Yarn was.
Oh, I loved Epic Yarn.
I loved it. That game I adored, but it was so boring to play.
Oh.
Well, I think what they said in the press conference too for this one is that there is no timer. You literally just have as much time as you want in the levels, which I think is going to be a good thing.
Cool.
Then we have Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Which is it's a mode from 3D Land. It was basically like these bonus levels where you solved a puzzle. I actually pretty enjoyed them, so I guess this game might be alright.
It might be, and we had probably one of the biggest stars of the show. This is when Twitter exploded. The Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
That's when every Nintendo fan had a collective boner.
I think I just put Zelda in caps lock.
I mean, Brian, any Nintendo fan who told themselves they weren't just holding off on the system to wait for this game is lying to themselves, because there was so much hype for this game before we even saw what it looked like, because we knew it existed and we knew it was probably going to be something cool. Although I did love that we got the same quote-unquote reaction that happened a couple of years ago when we got the GameCube tech demo swapped out for Wind Waker. And people were upset that they saw the Wii U tech demo for a Zelda game, and then instead got this with a different art style, and were bitching that it wasn't realistic and gritty enough.
Oh, come on. Gritty Zelda has never been decent. The cutesy Zelda is what it's all about.
I personally liked Twilight Princess, which was like the gritty Zelda, but like I'm fine with Skyward Sword esque graphics, which is what this looks like.
Although this looks so much better than Skyward Sword.
This and when they showed the huge expanse of Hyrule, my first thought was, oh my god, all of the rupees that are buried in that grass.
Although I will believe that when I actually see it. I'm holding judgment on whether they're saying all the right words, but I can't believe that yet.
I told my brother-in-law, I said, if they keep their thing of, finding rupees every time you cut grass, Hyrule
There's so much grass.
Hyrule better have a 0% poverty rate.
No shit.
Yeah, seriously.
If there is a poor character in this game,
they bury for a damn good reason. Like he has to be a literal drunkard in debt to like every single gambling company in the world, and on the run from the king to be a pauper.
I would hope so. You guys want to see a really cool video though that talks about like tons of details that were really easy to miss? Check out Game Explain's video of dissecting that footage. Some of it I completely disagree with because they go off on a tangent at one point about how they think that the game is basically going to be the same story as Princess Mononoke, but
they really read into that video.
Yeah, you saw that, right? Like they were reaching for that bit. But a lot of the stuff was like actual evidence that is in the trailer and looked really cool. So it's definitely
stuff like
checking
just
out.
zooming into that field and pointing out that there were people in that field and sheep that I hadn't noticed.
Yeah,
I thought
with
that
the
was pretty
castle
cool.
in the background.
Like we were too busy looking at the giant fucking expanse of Hyrule field before us, and now looking off on the horizon for the itty bitty. Yeah, all of the grass, all of the monies.
Although, what do you think of the theory that either Link looks feminine or is a girl?
Link has kind of always looked androgynous to begin with, so it's.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if this is a like you will end up playing as both a Zelda and Link type thing, and not be Hyrule Warriors.
It would be really cool if that actually was Zelda.
My response is the same answer of asking somebody what's the difference between apathy and ignorance. I don't know and I don't care.
Basically.
Look, is it going to be a good game? Yeah, it's probably going to be an awesome game. Does it look great? Yeah, it looks great. Might you play as a woman? Yes. Oh no, you might play as a woman. Wait, actually, don't say that too loud. Ubisoft might pull more support for the system. Like the games that they are sitting on that they will not release. They've actually admitted, yeah, we have completed Wii U games. They're done. They're ready to go. We're not releasing them.
That news story was so absurd. I mean, they're just mental.
We will add that to the shit on Ubisoft after.
Oh God!
And Nintendo.
Yeah, please,
don't worry.
Do.
We are going to have words. Kat and I have had words in private already over this, so. We will shit on Ubisoft later. So pay attention, all you listeners out there. There will be some.
So can we talk about a happier moment from Nintendo's press conference? Anybody else really excited for Splatoon?
Yes!
So excited because cute squid girls, though.
I mean, the whole concept just seemed really cool. Like, oh, Nintendo's making a shooter. Oh.
More surprising, Nintendo worked out how to make a new game.
Nintendo wants to make a MOBA!
Yeah. It's like...
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the process is like, Nintendo's making a shooter, and then there's that pause. It's like, you say it, and then you realize what you just said. And you're like, wait.
It just sounds so weird. The only Stranger sentence I've ever uttered is, Duke Nukem Forever is now available.
Like, it's just like... And like, it's not even like a normal shooter. It's basically how like a Nintendo, you think would Nintendo make a shooter, and like it just fits, and it's really cool.
It's like they looked at Counter-Strike and were like, what if we did this?
Yeah, what if we did this and didn't have the blood? Well, how can we not have blood?
It's just a very Nintendo game. Yeah,
when people think Nintendo in 20 years, they're gonna think that.
Can I also just give Nintendo a lot of credit for something? So in 2006, during their atrocious press conference, Sony announced a way that you could hook up a PSP to your PS3 during a racing game and use it as a rear view mirror. and everybody realized the immediate inherent flaw, because how were you supposed to hold both the PlayStation controller and the Vita, or the PSP at the time when you were doing this, and look at either of them consistently? It obviously was a terrible idea. And now, with the new Star Fox game that they're making, that's basically going to be the whole game. The gamepad is going to have one screen, either front view or back view, and the TV is going to have the opposite one, and it's apparently a lot of fun to play. So, kudos to Nintendo for taking a terrible, terrible idea and actually apparently making something fun out of it.
Yeah, plus, it's not like Ryan's supposed to be aware that they're making the Star Fox game. Like, it's just like, shh, we're making this game. It's gonna be fun, we promise.
Next year, apparently with everything, 2015.
Yeah, but like as you see the video, it's blurred out, but it's kind of like that crappy blur where it's like, there's things on the screen, and just from knowing Nintendo's game catalog, you pretty much immediately saw within the first 5 seconds it's Star Fox.
Yeah, they weren't trying to hide it. They announced that they'd shown Star Fox to a bunch of game journalists on Sunday night. They weren't really trying to hide it that hard, but yeah, I mean, they were kind of like, yeah, maybe we're gonna pretend that you guys don't know what this is. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, cough, Star Fox, cough, cough.
Going back to Splatoon, because the first thing I immediately thought of was Kat and her love of MOBAs. I saw you freaking the fuck out over this. And when
how could you not?
I saw it, and I'm like, and you're right. Everyone was like, this is so Nintendo. This is something Nintendo would do. And I saw during the Nintendo press event that you have the mechanic that you can change from squid to human squid on the fly. And I'm like, ooh, it's a nifty little mechanic. There'd be ink everywhere.
And you don't just swim moderately faster, you zip. There's a difference between I go faster and I actually go fast enough that I want to use this as opposed to running.
You can also not quite teleport.
You can climb up the walls, you can go into the grates. Oh yeah. They've made it so it's not just a flash. It is you actually want to do this.
And something else interesting that that'll change the kind of the scoring and the strategy a little bit. So, for those of you who don't know, in Splatoon you shoot ink all over the floor to gain points, and that's how you can move faster. But what I thought was really cool was you can shoot ink all over the walls too, and move along the walls, but they only count in terms of floor space that gets covered.
So it's the floor, it's not covering everything.
So covering the walls doesn't actually help your strategy, but I mean it doesn't help your scoring, but it could help your strategy.
Yeah. It may help in a team fight situation or something like that, or mobility for engaging, disengaging, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun, especially you get in the 4-on-4 matches, and as long as there's a decent internet connection, which we know Nintendo and the internet don't ever get along, but as long as they get that a little bit.
Yeah, did they say this is online only, or is this going to have local co-op?
I mean, considering how much the gamepad seems to be involved, I don't really see how they would do local.
It's a 4-on-4 game, so I can't really see how it's going to work locally. But to give Nintendo credit, I've been playing a load of Mario Kart 8 online, and it basically works flawlessly.
Oh! I'm shocked to hear that.
Seriously, it actually works.
You mean they could finally figure it out?
Maybe.
maybe
after
fun. Maybe after
using GameSpy.
Is Mario Kart actually fun?
With Luigi's death stare, I almost want to get a Wii U just so I can get Mario Kart 8 and just watch Luigi's death stare.
Luigi is a dick. He really wasn't happy about how the year Luigi went.
I just love that Nintendo made a reference to the Luigi death stare in their keynote.
They did.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Some of the other games that caught my eye during that was Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm currently in the middle of the first Xenoblade Chronicles, and it is a really good game. I am enjoying it immensely.
I'm curious to see how they're going to do a sequel. Because...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was because of... I will admit I had not beaten the game, but how they were setting it up, I don't see how they're going to make a sequel.
They've said it's not going to be necessarily a true sequel. They said it's like a spiritual sequel.
Probably kind of in the same way that Xenogears and Xenosaga aren't actually related.
Okay, so it's going to be like maybe in the same universe, quote unquote.
They haven't really specified too heavily, and I've honestly kind of kept away from it because I want to sort of go in.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Blind.
But
the other thing, no, go ahead.
The other thing was like the videos, like it was so like Japanese.
Well, yes.
But I mean that more so in the like this feels like it should be like a clip from an anime, not from a video game.
Have you played Xenosaga?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so yes.
I know, but I'm just like with how they did Xenoblade, I wasn't expecting it to be like that. That's all.
Well, we'll find out.
The other thing is that that's another game that supposedly is going to have a significant online element to it. So hopefully it's something that they manage to really nail down, like they seem to have with Mario Kart.
Okay, the little thing that the Mario Maker, I thought that was cute.
Oh yeah,
That looks so cool.
I'm looking forward to that way more if I can play other people's levels.
Yeah,
I'll buy that just to buy other
and
people's levels.
sharing is kind of the critical thing about that game. The worrying thing is it sounds both early and really limited at the moment. Like you can't make very long levels, you can't go in pipes. Hopefully they add more tile sets. It's not just Mario 1 and New Super Mario Bros., but the concept sounds cool.
They said it started out as an internal tool for Nintendo developers.
Right.
That doesn't surprise me.
So hopefully
I'd like
it's
to
something
see
early
Super Mario-
on that they'll build out.
I'd love to see Super Mario World added to the
Yeah.
I want Mario
next,
2.
or Super Mario. That would work too. Which one? The Japanese or American one?
Oh, the American one, obviously. We forgot to mention the new Kirby game.
I just hadn't gotten to it yet. It's on my list. I hadn't forgotten, but yes, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse.
So the really weird thing about this is it's clearly a 3DS game, or it's a DS game because it's a sequel to a DS game that they've just put on Wii U because they want to sell Wii U's, to the point where it's a touchscreen game. You're going to look at the touchscreen the entire time. The fact that TV is displaying the same thing is completely worthless. But it looks awesome. Hey.
Well, it's a Kirby game. They're meant to be cute and fun.
I've also we touched on it very briefly earlier, but I'm also interested in Hyrule Warriors.
Yes.
And this actually brings me back to some of the points we made earlier. Hyrule Warriors, they announced 4 playable characters. Now, Link was already a given, so they really announced 3 playable characters, all women.
Yeah,
Zelda, Impa, and Midna.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they're not the only female characters, and they said 9 playable characters total, so there are 5 left. But I thought it's really kind of cool that they announced 3 characters, and they decided to announce 3 female characters.
Are you a Dynasty Warriors person? Because I have no interest in those games.
I've never really played them. The only one close to those that I played was 99 Nights, and I know that one was terrible.
It
looks like it'll be a fun distraction. Don't get me wrong; it's not a system seller in itself to me, but I still do like it.
Like we can probably guess that one of the characters is going to be Ganondorf. It would not surprise me if another one's Aghanim.
Vadi would be cool. Vadi would be really cool.
Yeah. So that's another 3. So then you just gotta figure out 3 potentially important characters from Zelda's history. So
I mean, it could also
cheat and do Sheik.
It could. I mean, yeah. Well, they could also do. Who's developing it? Isn't Namco involved in the development?
I think
Bandai
Namco.
Oh, Bandai Namco. So they could pull out a character or 2 from their history. So maybe it'll be Pac-Man. Yeah, there you go. Pac-Man is that screenshot, by the way, guys, of Mario, Sonic, Pac-Man, and Mega Man fighting all at once. Oh my God, the 90s
Smash Brothers.
The nostalgia factor is like at an all-time high.
When I
never thought that game would be possible.
When I saw that, I wrote on my Facebook. I said, "Okay, Pac-Man's been confirmed. Now I'm going to wait for the announcement for Qbert, Dig Dug."
Well, somebody also pointed out that Nintendo is taking better care of these franchises than their actual publishers by releasing.
They really are.
the Pac-Man game.
They picked the total correct version of Pac-Man to use as well. It's just brilliant.
They picked the one from like the 80s and 90s cartoon, right?
Yeah, it's the guy he's the one with the legs and the arms. It's brilliant.
And he looks better than he did in the most recent Pac-Man game.
And as you say, taking care of Mega Man when Capcom wants to lock him up in a closet.
Yeah, literal nothing to do with the character. Literal.
What, Mega Man? We don't
Mega
know.
Man.
What's a Mega Man?
Who's a Mega Man?
We fired that guy, right?
There was a game. There was a game. It wasn't announced during Nintendo's event. It was announced during their Nintendo Treehouse thing. Something called Codename Steam, which it sounds like a new...
It's some kind of tactical game for 3DS?
It's a tactical game, but you play as or you take orders from Abe Lincoln, who also made an appearance as a Mii fighter. I don't know what the obsession with Abe Lincoln is recently with Nintendo, but sure, why not? You know what? Like, I heard a couple of things about this game, and I just stopped, and I put down, I was reading everything on my tablet, and I just put down the iPad, and I walked away, and I said, I am going to find out more when this game actually comes out, but it will hurt my head if I try and figure this game out right now, and I just walked away from it. So you guys can talk about it all you want. I'm going to sit here in silence because it's going to just be painful to try and figure out.
So moving on to Mario Party 10.
Alright, that's fair.
Mario Party 10, because, I mean, why not? Because it's another... You know, Nintendo seems to be doing pretty good with the Mario Party series, and I still want them to release the game that they're never going to do on Virtual Console, and that's the first Mario Party.
All they have to do is take out a couple of the mini-games, but they won't do it.
What's the problem with the first Mario Party?
You don't remember the first Mario Party game, the game Paddle Battle, where you had to rotate the N64 joystick controller as fast as you could? Remember all the people that were peeling their hands off?
Right.
And lawsuits and the glove and all that craziness?
They should have come up with a condom for the N64 controller.
You'd think. Other games that I remember seeing showing up, there was a Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Disney Infinity, another Just Dance game. I didn't think that franchise was popular, but I guess so.
Oh no, it sells millions. It's mostly on the Wii. I don't think this Wii U version is going to sell at all. But on the Wii, being a casual-focused console and Just Dance being the shittiest casual dance game in the universe, apparently it sells really well.
That sounds like a perfect combination to me.
It's a very Europe game.
Sonic Boom.
Which apparently is terrible.
It's a Sonic game. I don't understand the surprise in your voice when announcing it.
Oh,
It's
come
terrible.
on. Did you play Sonic Generations?
What was the last good Sonic the Hedgehog game not named
Sonic
Super Smash Bros.?
Generations was awesome. Legitimately, it was a great
Was
game.
it only awesome because it had a lot of 2D Sonic levels that were basically Genesis games remade?
Partly, but
Okay, so then
3D
why
was-
are you
Yeah, by
surprised?
partly he means like 95%, yes.
Yeah,
But
okay,
they
so-
weren't remakes, they were the same theme and style, they were still new levels.
Right, but what they basically did was they said, let's take Genesis games and remake them, and lo and behold, it's the only time they managed to do something good.
Sonic Generations was awesome.
I'm not saying it wasn't. My point is that
Sonic
they had to jump back
isn't
20
even
years
a
to get
Sonic
something
game.
good. Also, he got punched in the head by Little Mac, and that's why he's taller now.
Did you,
I don't know if any
have
of you guys
any
saw
of
that.
you watched like a clip from this cartoon of Sonic Boom that they're gonna make? I mean, Sonic is just a complete asshole in it.
I mean,
I
that
don't-
I kind
I
of
don't
want to see,
see-
I'm not going to lie.
I don't see how this program is appealing to anyone.
And of course, we got a few seconds of the upcoming Pokemon remakes, Omega Ruby and
Alpha Sapphire.
Here we go.
Buy our Pokemon again.
Yep, we had to do that. So, overall, on the whole, Nintendo, to me, when I saw all the information coming out from Nintendo and when I saw the Nintendo event, my thought was, here's Nintendo going, we're sorry we've had this console out for 2 years and we haven't done a damn thing. Here's everything. Please forgive us.
But please wait another year.
Please wait another year.
Yeah, please wait another year.
So,
please.
The year of Luigi was a massive failure, but 2015 looks to be like the best year Nintendo has had in a long time.
Like the only thing they didn't announce. There's two things they didn't announce. One was a new Mario game because whatever, it's Mario. They did not announce a new Metroid game, and you can't tell me that for the first 15 seconds that Xenoblade Chronicles X trailer that they showed, you were not thinking Metroid.
I saw that, and then I saw all the mecha, and I went, okay.
Yeah, like the moment you see like anime girl and mecha, you jump to Xenoblade.
I went, yeah.
Until then you're thinking Metroid.
There we go. And but of the three, of Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, I finally with this showing finally puts me into the want column on a Wii U. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but for me personally, looking at what's coming up, I can now justify a Wii U purchase.
As the only console of the new generation I own being a Wii U, I feel pretty happy.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat as Ryan. I can finally justify wanting to buy a Wii U now, even though the main game I was going to buy it for is going to be on 3DS anyway. I will bite the bullet and buy it twice.
Well, Ben and I have had discussions about this because we're most of us, if not all of us here, we have been Nintendo fans since we were kids. So it's like the idea of not owning a Nintendo console is kind of strange and foreign. So it's like we want, come on, Nintendo, give us reasons to justify the expense. And it's going to take 3 years, but Nintendo, I feel, has finally gotten there.
Mario Kart 8 is pretty good, guys.
See, my problem is also that, and guys, I know this is going to be a wonderful first world problem, but my roommate has a Wii U, so anytime I'd look at a game that I'd want to buy, it's well, I don't need to buy that. He already did. Mario Kart 8 might have been enough to put me over the edge with that new bundle, and then I looked at it and was like, oh, except I don't ever need to play Mario Kart. The first thing I'll do is rip open the box, get that code to download Wind Waker HD, and then immediately sell it as a used copy of the game.
Can I give you a scary statistic? I'm going to be moving into a house soon, and there are going to be 3 Wii U's in that house.
Wow. Those gamepads are probably going to hate each other very quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean, the formula that I've used somewhat, that Brian and I have talked about, is basically I add up the total cost of the games that I want to play for a system, and then when that equals or exceeds the cost of the console, I feel that it's a justified purchase. And I could get that number at one point, and I still looked at the list of games and didn't really feel the urge to buy them. And now, the truth is, I add up the value of the games, and if it adds to or exceeds the cost of the system, it's considered a worthwhile purchase. And I've been there at one point for a little while, and I just felt no excessive desire to buy the games. And now I feel this is going to be awesome.
So, and Kat, you also seemed the most excited as well, because you were just firing tweet after tweet of all caps anytime Nintendo was showing anything. Yeah, I remember when Zelda came,
Nintendo.
When Zelda came up, all I saw on your Twitter was Zelda.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think of the three, I think Nintendo had the best showing, and now Nintendo has convinced me, finally, much to April's indifference, I suppose, that
The resounding meh across the room.
Basically. So it is now.
You're spending how much?
And now I finally want one. So well done, Nintendo. It looks like 2015 is going to be an amazing year.
Is it time to poop on Ubisoft yet?
Yes, it is. So we will shift into our last major chunk of this recap, because this E3 had a wee bit of controversy, courtesy of Ubisoft. They kind of did a few things to shoot themselves in the foot this time.
The foot, the face, the chest, the hand, the heart, the private section. You choose which one.
Let's not forget the balls, because certainly that's applicable in this case.
In this case, absolutely.
Okay, joking. Before we get into it, their speech thingy was awkward as heck. It was very meh. It was fine that there was a female presenter. That's cool and everything, but you guys didn't have a good conference to begin with, and then this happened.
Okay.
Can we comment on one thing though that I do have to give them credit for, especially when it comes to the presenter? Brian, you know who Aisha Taylor is, right?
I've been watching way too much Archer. Yes.
Exactly. So the thing is, they usually bring out somebody like Joel McHale or Jamie Kennedy or somebody else who isn't necessarily a gamer and is just a presenter. That's somebody that they can get. And Aisha Taylor is somebody who strongly identifies with the gaming culture. She told the story how when she was in elementary school, she became friends with this one girl because they had an Atari in their house, so she could go over to the kid's house and play. So, I mean, just to give you a sense of her personality, or at least her self-described personality. So, I gotta give them credit for not just getting a celebrity presenter that's also a woman. I gotta give them credit for getting a celebrity presenter that's a woman that's also clearly steeped in the culture. So that I have to give them credit for. Everything else, though, it's definitely time to poop on their grave.
With that said, let us get to the shitting on them. And the cat's just licking her chops. They were talking about Assassin's Creed Unity, and it was mentioned, I forget by who at Ubisoft, that there were not going to be you were not going to be able to play as a female character at all.
Not in single player, not in multiplayer.
At all. So it wasn't so much that got them in trouble, it was their stated reasons for why they were not including any sort of female avatar, by basically saying that it would be too much work and that it would cost too much, and that's the reality of game development.
And then the internet exploded.
And everyone was like, excuse me? How many hundreds of developers and studios are working on this game? That is the most bullshittingest excuse ever.
Not to mention the fact that they made a game for the PS Vita a couple years ago. They had a female character as the main protagonist.
Aveline.
Like, it doesn't even matter. You can take literally her character model, import it over to the PS4. Yeah, just literally port it. That's all you need to do.
By the way, we're porting Aveline. Did we mention that? Well, beans. The thing is, nobody bought Revelations or whichever, or AC3 or whichever.
It's Liberation or some crap like that?
I don't know. Anyway, the point
Anybody
is,
else feel
nobody
like there's
bought
too
it.
many Assassin's Creed games just based on this
nobody
conversation?
bought it because it was a Vita exclusive at the time. If it had been for every flipping console, people would have bought the shit out of it. But no one was going to buy a PlayStation Portable or PlayStation Vita just for Assassin's Creed, whatever the heck. They just weren't. Nobody had that kind of money at that point. That was like 2000.
Sorry, they're making a HD remake of that for consoles.
Are they?
It's just that's even worse then, because then they can just take literally the HD remake
Yeah.
Okay.
Just bring it into 4! Oh
Can
my
I take the controversial view and actually defend Ubisoft?
Oh
You can
God.
play devil's advocate.
Oh God.
This is actually my opinion. It's not devil's advocate. So yes, I agree. Their response was moronic. Okay, that is some PR guy being interviewed, having some moronic answer to an interviewer's question. However, it was the press who started this controversy, and they were the ones going, "Hey guys, have you noticed Assassin's Creed doesn't have any women in it? What the fuck?" Despite the fact the series has a history of having a strong female character in it. Secondly, the press are starting this argument on Ubisoft, who, yes, had a moronic answer. Meanwhile, they completely ignore EA, who announced Rainbow Six Siege that has a woman as a literal flag in a capture the flag game.
There's also, guys, this isn't the first time that a game development company has said we weren't including a female character model because it was too much work. Anybody want to venture a guess at the game and the company? You're going to be surprised.
I'm going to guess BioWare, actually.
No, BioWare's always been all about inclusion. I'm talking very recently.
I'm going to guess it was Nintendo.
It was Nintendo. Do you know what the game was?
No, I can't tell you what the game was.
It was one of the new Super Mario Brothers games. New Super Mario Brothers Wii and New Super Mario Brothers U. They specifically did not include Peach as a playable character because they would have had to adjust the jump physics and how the character played a little bit. And the character model a little bit. So
Nintendo is also the one who just recently had all this Tamagotchi Life controversy about same-sex relationships. So, in the grand scheme of things, I think the press just got pretty bored of the E3 announcements and decided to start an argument because the French decided to have a retarded response to a question in some interview.
I mean, they could have just said, "We honestly didn't think of it. We're idiots. We're sorry, but it's too far along. We can't stop. We can't add it now."
Or there's some good story reason for why
it's male and not female.
We thought it was more in keeping with the time period that we didn't think these groups would want women in these kinds of positions. So yeah, it means we didn't have any strong female characters.
That's a lie.
I didn't say it was true. I said it was an answer that they could give.
One technical reason which I heard, which may or may not be bullshit, I'm just giving it to you as an example, is I believe the way the co-op works is you're all playing the main character in the game, and it's just when you see the other people in your game, they look visually different. So yes, if the main character in everybody's game is a male, I guess they should all be males.
I would say, can't you correct me if I'm wrong in this? Was during the French Revolution, there was actually assassins running around, they were killing foreign political figures, things like that.
Are you asking me because I'm from Europe?
No, I'm asking Kat. I would imagine she's done more research on this than I would have, and that one of the more important ones was actually a female assassin. Or am I wrong?
You are not wrong at all. You are talking about Charlotte Corday, and she was an assassin that was born in 1768 and died in 1793. What she did was assassinate Marat, which was a very reasonably high. She planned to kill him in front of the National Convention. Didn't work out so good for her, but she did kill him. So, she did kill him, and then she was executed. She knew what she was doing. She knew she was going to be killed. She got her head cut off. She was guillotined, So that's what they did. But she just.
This is the thing is. They already made Assassin's Creed Liberation, which has a African French assassin as the main character.
Correct.
So they didn't have to make this main character female because they hadn't had any females.
It wasn't that they didn't have any. It was more that they gave it. It was an afterthought. It was the tone that it was an afterthought more than anything. Give people a choice. Say at the start of the game,
But
I want to play this
Assassin's
character
Creed has
as
never
X or Y.
been- Assassin's Creed has never been a series that's been about select your character. It's always been, we're telling
Drop you
this
into the
story
world
about
and done.
this
Yeah.
character.
See, the thing is, if they made the female protagonist, I'd be worried that we'd pull another Paul Revere and G-Ride Paul Revere's sword, and we would assassinate Marat for Charlotte Corday, and that would be legitimately terrible, because that's the last thing we need, is a dude rewriting history for a woman. Nobody wants that. Like, no. Because there's some guy that would be like, look at me, I'm a hero. No.
The and plus, like, Ubisoft, like, the company that makes Assassin's Creed in general, like, Ubisoft's just the publisher, but, like, generally speaking, they've been pretty good with being, like, historically accurate to the best of their ability.
Yeah. They've been good on that.
So, like, they may, I mean, like, this is a huge oversight, or literally just was, like, them being like, we're idiots, why did we not include the option for a female character?
They could have at least given people the option. It wasn't that their answer was just dumb. It was just a lack of poor planning, and somebody had no idea what they were saying. Like, they should have been scripted on how to answer that. Like, this question is going to come up. Here is how you answer it. This is exactly what you can say, and you can't say anything else. But
I mean, like, he could have just said, like, I honestly don't know how to answer.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly don't know how to answer that. And I'm not going to
that.
say anything that, like, I would ask an actual, like, developer of the game. Like, I am only a PR person. I
don't
can
know.
only
I
answer.
can't ask the developers. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything but what he actually said, which implied that they didn't care about doing it at all, and in essence didn't care about any sort of marginalized player base at all.
So yeah, I mean, as was stated, you know, their reasons, their stated reasons for not including any sort of female avatar was what set the internet aflame. Not necessarily so much of the lack thereof, but the flimsiest excuses they possibly could. And I read that and I went, ooh, this is going to end badly.
Let's grab our popcorn and watch this train wreck unfold right before our very eyes.
If I could eat popcorn, I would have done just that, because the tweets and the commentary that were flying, I was just like, oh, all right, this will be nice. Was there another? I thought there was a second thing that Ubisoft did that was also
The Nintendo Wii U games.
yes,
Annoyed me, but
yes, that was the I saw that. Yes, Ubisoft also said that they have completed Wii U games that they're just sitting on. And they basically said, we're going to release these games when the install base gets bigger. And I'm like...
Or, no, they just said they don't plan on currently releasing them.
Oh, there was one article I read that I thought they said that they're going to release them when the Wii U user base gets bigger.
I mean, they may. I mean, they have the code, it's already done, but they currently just left it at, we're not planning on releasing them now. If the install base does go up, as I expect it will, for 2015, then yeah, we may get these other games. Suddenly Ubisoft's going to announce 5 games. We're going to be like, oh, where did these come from? All right, they've been sitting on them for 3 years.
And I'm wondering, why don't you just get these out here and get, recoup your investment?
They think it's throwing bad money after good to, or good money after bad, whatever the phrase is, to just spend money on the marketing for games that they don't think will sell enough.
Then why did they make them?
Because they thought Nintendo was going to sell more systems?
Yeah, I speculate that these are games that probably could be retrofitted without gamepad support, and if they're probably holding them with the hope that the Wii U will pick up, with a backup plan that they'll release it somewhere else, failing that with some minor modifications.
Alrighty. It still seems silly, but whatever. Alrighty. Any more stuff to shit on Ubisoft with, or can we start winding this down?
Such a bizarre thing.
Okay. Well, last thing I will say about Ubisoft is that Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, with our wonderful main female character, I didn't know this until just a few minutes ago. It came out on the PlayStation Network, Steam, and Xbox Live Arcade. So
Cool.
it's all there. So, all right. Well, the last thing I will ask all of you, lovely people, is what did you think, just overall, this year's E3? What was your overall takeaway?
I'm glad that Nintendo looks like they finally are putting games out that people want to buy. I just hope it isn't too far along in their life cycle for the system, that third parties don't begin publishing games for them.
I think third party's dead on Wii U.
It probably is, sad to say. I just wish it wasn't, because I feel like the Wii U could have a lot of potential. Microsoft was like a snore fest, so meh. I'm hoping Sony does better things in the coming months and for next year, but I don't know.
I was fairly disappointed by the whole thing, basically. This sounds like an AA meeting. Seriously, it was really disappointing. Like, there were no big surprise announcements. Nothing I want to buy these new consoles. Nothing convinced me I need to buy them anytime soon. Literally the only thing that has me pumped is No Man's Sky and the stuff Nintendo announced, and none of it's coming this year. So I really look forward to E3 2015 when all these games are announced again.
Ben, what say you?
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with Josh. I mean, the truth of the matter is that there wasn't a lot outside of the Nintendo conference that I was really, really excited by. No Man's Sky was obviously a high point. I think a question that's been raised is whether or not the Batman Arkham franchise can be a true system seller, because I think that they are banking on that to move some consoles, and I think it's interesting. It's one of the first big exclusive multi-platform games for just the new console generation, so it'll be interesting to see if people sell that, or people buy that. But other than that, yeah, I didn't see anything that convinced me to buy a system that I wasn't already going to buy. Square Enix completely did not show up, which was really surprising considering just last year they resurrected Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, well, they had said beforehand that we're not going to E3 for like Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy 15.
Right.
And the only thing they were there for was to talk about Final Fantasy 14.
Right, but again, considering how close to dead people thought Final Fantasy 15 was, and considering how long we've had to wait on Kingdom Hearts, like a little something to at least reassure people that we're not fucking this up would have been nice. And of course, Last Guardian, Sony says it's still in development. We haven't seen it since it was announced in 2009. So I don't know what the fuck's going on there. But yeah, I wasn't. I can't even say I was disappointed, because I feel like my expectations were really low. But I mean, it wasn't a bad show. Certainly, it didn't. I don't think it really blew me away. So if
it didn't wow anyone, because people were hoping that they were wanting to be wowed, but like their expectation was like, if we don't get wowed, whatever. But if we do, fucking fantastic. And like it's just like they were. I think they were hoping that they were going to get wowed, and then they were very disappointed when they didn't.
At least Square showed nothing rather than EA's PowerPoint presentation.
And, Kat, I will leave the last word to you because you were gobbling this up. I mean, you kind of have to. So,
yeah,
you were swimming in all of this. You were swimming in all this stuff. So, what was your final takeaway?
There's a lot of potential for a lot of games out there. It's not just casual gamers, it's not just console, it's not just MOBA players, it's everybody's going to have something. And no matter what game you're playing, you're going to have at least something to look forward to in 2015. It wasn't really a win or lose, it was a product showcase. This is what we have going on. If you want to buy it, good. If you don't, you don't. But overall, it was just a lot of things to be offered, even though people said it was more of the same. There was more offered this year than there was last year. And overall, it was just it was a feeling for some of it, but Nintendo left me feeling pretty good. So, in general, there's a lot of just games that are coming out that are pretty good looking. So, like No Man's Sky, Ori, all of it looks awesome. So, I'm excited. Is it 2015 yet?
Not yet, but that certainly seems to be like the year. It's like, we saw all this shit, and it's like 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015. Can we get a
TARDIS?
How about a hovercraft? Or a hoverboard? I'll take hoverboard.
Hoverboard isn't going to get me into the future. A TARDIS is.
Just hop in my Prius. It's the same color. So, alrighty. Well, I think that does it for us in our E3 recap. So, before I do all of my final plugs, Ben, I will give you a minute or two to plug Sprites and Dice.
I appreciate that. So everybody check out Sprites and Dice. It is a fun website. I write for it. Wyatt, who's also a contributor, and John Glover, who's also a sometimes contributor, they founded it. They also write for it. We kind of cover a wide range of gaming topics. My stuff tends to be mostly video game focused, and so does John's generally, but Wyatt talks a lot about board games and obviously dice games and other things like that. It's definitely, I think, worth your time. We try and put up posts about topics that are interesting to us and hopefully that are interesting to you. And you can reach us at spritesanddice.blogspot.com. Or if you'd like to, we follow us any other way. We are available on, you can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, or you can email us at spritesanddice@gmail.com. So please, any suggestions, topics you'd like to see, anything like that, feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Joshie, what about your site, Gaming with Lemons?
Oh, sure. I have an open source video game collection wish list and backlog tracker. All those other websites are shit. You should use mine.
It's actually pretty nifty. I mean, I signed up for it, and it's nice. I have my collection out before me, and I go, oh yeah, I haven't finished that.
It's pretty early still. We're technically classing it as an alpha, so there's going to be a lot of improvements in the future. So check it out.
Is it open alpha? Can anybody join?
Ah, yes, open alpha. None of this invite bullshit.
Woo! At gamingwithlemons.com.
That's the one.
That's it. What about you, Kat?
Well, I am actually the senior community manager for PvP Live, which is all things esports. We are pretty awesome, and you can find us at pvp-live.com. We talk a lot about MOBAs, all that happy stuff. Right now we're going through a huge site redesign, so yeah. If you want to get at me at Twitter, I'm at cm_Calarovia, and that's about all I can get for that one.
Cool. Not a problem. And so I will give you the final plugs you get from me. Downloadable content available on iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher. You can get a hold of us if you have any questions, comments, thoughts on this episode or any other episode of Downloadable Content. You can get in touch. Facebook.com/DLContent, at Twitter @DLContent. You can get a hold of us on Tumblr, dlcpodcast.tumblr.com, and you can email us at dlcontent1@gmail.com. So, well done all around. It remains for me to thank Ben, Ron, Joshie, and Kat for joining me in this much info-filled and much lambooning the video game industry, as we all tend to do. So, have a good one, everyone. I'm Brian. Enjoy and play on and all that fun stuff. See ya!